Okay, guys, I want to make a video on how learning music, if you choose the right teacher and the right book, such as Jeff Berlin's Bass Education book, if you're just beginning and want to learn how to read music for the bass, that it's sequential. It's not hard. This is very easy. These whole notes, one by one, each measure, okay? What's hard is sitting down to practice. What's hard is making time in your schedule consistently. I just practice for 15 minutes, and that's all I got today because I'm super busy. I got to go let the dogs out. I'm house sitting and dog sitting for my friend. She's down in Nashville, having a good old time. So I don't have the hour of undivided attention, but just in 15 minutes, it's amazing what you can accomplish with something very hard, difficult, challenging. If that's learning how to read, then that's understandable. This whole concept of mine is that you may have hit a plateau with music in such a way that you really want to get into the core of music, as like there's got to be something more to playing my bass than just playing to a record or playing to a MP3, or like I've been doing recently is I just put on my favorite music app. I listen to YouTube music because I have YouTube Premium, so I don't have any commercials, and I really like YouTube music actually. And I'll put on like a classic, or I'll put on Hendrix and I'll just let it roll, and like maybe it's a song I don't know that well, maybe it is, but just to keep my chops up, my skills on the bass. But back to the learning how to read music, what this will enable you to do is you're just going to get deeper into the music. It makes for much more attention into practicing the bass. And back to the sequential nature of learning how to read music and how it's done easily, and how if you have a good teacher or a good book, and if you practice consistently, which I said earlier was the hardest thing to do if we're busy. You might be married with kids and working full time, and the only time you may have is after you put your kid to bed or your kids to sleep. And then you go to sit down and practice and you hear, "Mom, Dad, I'm hungry." So here it is, this is just page 17, and he's already breaking it up into half notes. We had only whole notes before. This is a whole note, these are half notes. These get 2 beats. This gets all 4. All right. And then the more we get into it, I'm going to skip ahead. Now we have, look, now there's quarter rests that look like seagulls, right? Sequential learning, getting into like very beginning. This is very, very elementary beginning. Reading music to kind of just start your vocabulary. Right here, we have a repeat, which means this exercise, you play these 4, and then you go to the beginning again. Sometimes this will be up here so that you play this, okay? This is just a little music lesson. Now I'll jump, just to make a point, I'll jump to, this is his baseline book. And this book right here, man, this book really was challenging for me because it's just counterintuitive, but when you get into it, now I wanted to show these repeats here, but this is just for this one measure because you have 2 lines here two dots here with these brackets and this thick black line here. So I would play these here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It says repeat 3 times. It has the line going down. At first I was like, well, does that mean you repeat this whole? No, doesn't mean repeat this whole thing. It means to just go back to where this second line, these two double lines are. Very simple, basic, rudimentary music reading here. 4/4 bass clef. Okay. And this is like a more intermediate book. Back to the first book. This is page 37. All right, I'm just gonna randomly skip like, let's see, 5 pages. Now we have tied notes. So this is 4 beats, the whole note. But why is that? What's that arc there? That's going into the first beat of the next measure. A new concept in music. Here we have the half note, not a whole note like here. So this is 3 beats, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right. I'm trying to show you how if you just go 15 minutes by 15 minutes, maybe you can practice more than 15 minutes. That's what I'm working on. Yesterday I practiced a half hour. I practiced 15 minutes. I took 15 minutes off, and then I practiced another 15 minutes, and then I had to go do something. So I got a half hour in. Better than nothing, right? But we're just going through this, and I think, now we have, look at all these little guys. What's that? That's an 8th rest. But what I discovered, okay, when I was practicing, now here's where I'm at, all right? And I haven't been practicing regularly summer because I had to hustle, I had to make some money. So my hands, I paint, and I was doing drywall, I was doing gardening. I live in Southeast Iowa, so the money for the bread and butter jobs like landscaping, painting, plaster repair. I'm busy, and it's a good thing. I like working outside, so I wasn't able to practice like I was in the winter and spring of this year, because I wasn't working as much. I'm working a lot more this summer, so. Oh my God, I think I hear a mouse in my oven. Little tangent there for you. Getting back to the music, this right here, I was talking about how I haven't been practicing as much. When I was at the end of my 2-3 hour a day practicing phase that I went through this spring, because I had the time to do it. I didn't have a lot of outdoor work, and I had some money saved up, so I could afford to just like, all right, screw it, world. I'm practicing my bass, and I don't care what you think. I'm just going to practice my bass and get better as a bass player. Isn't that a concept? But I got all the way up to this lesson 11, E major. We're going through all the keys. This is a printout because he doesn't have this in the ring bound, binded book. So I bought it off of his website and uploaded the PDF, which I kind of don't like reading music on my computer, because it only covers like from here to here, and then you have to scroll up. So I go and I print these out. And when I came back to practicing this, I was rusty. I mean, I was struggling. When I say struggling, my coordination of knowing where these notes are, and this line here is pretty fundamental for me. Getting up into here with these ledger lines with the D, the C, the B, the E, and these are all, there's 4 sharps here. So that D, that C, those are sharp. E isn't sharp. D, C is sharp. We got the F going to the E to the D. That's an F sharp. Okay, so the vocabulary and the coordination of me just being able to read these little dots up on these ledger lines was rusty. This is a G sharp. Okay, sharp is a raised half semitone, half note. So rather than this being on the 12th fret, it was on the 13th fret. If we were in C natural, there's no sharps, no flats, or any of the other keys that don't have G as a sharp. That's getting into music theory. You're going to want to look up, if you don't know what I'm talking about with sharp, 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 look up sharps and flats. Please feel free to ask any question. What does this mean? What does that mean? What you're talking Greek to me. I don't want anyone to pretend like they know what I'm saying. That is a big no for me. I'd rather have you say, Eric, dude, I don't know, you lost me, than pretending that you know or just going along with it when you're not following what I'm saying. That's why I'm kind of bringing this up. This harder stuff is much further down the road if you're just getting started. But I want to make that point of like, now that I've kind of come back, I practiced this. I said I practiced for a half hour yesterday. Most of it was right in here, right in here. Now I'm at the point where I can rip through this. The rust for this is shaken off. It's gone. But the rust in here is still there. So, and this is going to take a lifetime of me, just these patterns. When I say pattern is, like where these notes are going and where your fingers are going. And I'm going to bring the bass neck in here. And so why should we be practicing all this, Okay, so like when you're looking at these different dots, they're just different places on the fretboard. Well, when your fingers are going back and forth over in every different way, Jeff Berlin has it done in such a way that you're really covering the harmony of these keys. That's why he has you go through all the keys. You can Google how many keys are there? What are keys in music? What's the difference between E major and A major? All right. And the last thing I want to say is that for me, this challenging is what's bringing me back to practicing. I'm not trying to learn a song. I'm not trying to impress anybody. There's nothing flamboyant about it. It's like going down in the basement when you wake up in the morning to do your push-ups and your sit-ups and run on the treadmill. It's not pretty. It's not kind of like going to a nightclub or dancing or running out in nature. It's just you and your exercises and no one else there to see you. And that's how you get better in better shape, right? Same with music. It's that time that you put in when no one is watching, no one's cheering you. And one more thing I'd like to say, aside from this challenge, and that challenge for me is right here. For you, if you're just getting started, oops, overboard. It could just be lesson 1 and learning where this E, F, G is. Now we're back in the key of C. No sharps, no hashtags, no flats that look like little B's. Beat the small letter B. It could just be here. Just this one line. And then you practice it for 5 minutes and you're looking here and then you're looking at your bass and where your fingers are and then you pluck it and it doesn't sound very good. But you'll see that as you pay attention, as you practice consistently, even if it's 5 minutes, that the next time you sit down, you're going to remember better than when you practiced the last time. And that really, I think, I really think that's where it's at as far as keeping yourself motivated, inspiring yourself. And then the other thing is, the more that you learn this stuff and pay attention and practice, the easier it's going to be for when you go back to, like I started off saying, where, oh man, I just want to play a Jimi Hendrix song, or I want to play some blues song, or I have this, any artist. It could be any artist, any musician. It doesn't even have to be any, you could be writing something. For me, doing this in E major and learning all these etudes, you don't think that's going to help me when I go to solo or improv? If someone says, yo, dude, we're jamming, and we're going to jam in E major, to just know that, rather than in my mind thinking, okay, E major, all right, I'll just, play E and couple. No, I know E major like the back of my hand, and I know different ways about going it. So this studying of this, some would say, is just very boring. It's kind of patriarchal. It's like European, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But when you're hanging out with your friends and they're jamming a jam session, or you're getting to like write something, oh my God, it's like, this is where it's all about. And that's why these like really great masters that we all love play the way they do. Because for me, like say Jaco Pastorius or James Jamerson, they read music. They knew they could sit down and play this no problem, just as easy as I can read English. So I hope this helps. If you watch to the end, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And I'm working on the school, S as in Sally, K as in kilo, O as in octopus, O as in Omaha, L as in Larry, school platform. I'll put a link, and that's going to be like a monthly membership. And this is the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about. I'm not going to be on there like showing you how great of a bass player I am. I'm going to be helping you become the greatest bass player that you can be. We'll also be looking at guitar, because I feel like if you're a bass player, studying guitar will help your bass playing, just as studying piano will help your bass playing. I studied arpeggios this summer on the guitar, and when I went back to play and improvise on my bass, it was like a huge growth had transpired from studying arpeggios on the guitar, of all things. I'm like, what? Well, it's all language, right? And that language that I took from learning the arpeggios on the guitar over the bass really helped my communication, I'll use that word, my vocabulary on the bass, when I was just like playing freely and being creative. All right, thanks again for watching, and take care.